Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm your host Mrs. KK and this is The Wave. It is your weekly show that looks at topics related to personal, family and business finance, and our hope is that by the time you get to the end of these conversations, really you are better equipped to make sound financial decisions. So if you're new here, welcome, and if you're already a returning subscriber, I know I've been gone for some time, but I will be back shortly, still on leave for the next 2-3 weeks, and we will be back to uploading regular content. But until then, I think I need to do this video. It has been requested by a few people for me to share my journey to becoming a chartered accountant, and also what advice I have for people that are looking to embark on this journey. So to give a bit of background, I am currently 30, turning 31 in about 2 months time, and I grew up in northern Namibia. I am born in Omalala village between Ongwediva and Ondangwa. I grew up in an extended family and I have 4 sisters and 2 brothers, and I was raised by a single parent. My dad died when I was about 6, so I don't really remember much about him. So growing up in a village was typical for me. I'm the lost in the queue, so I was exempted from doing a lot of household chores, but I wasn't exempted from taking care of the goats. For me, it was actually the easiest task of all the tasks in the house. All you need to do is, for as long as you're not hungry, follow the goats, know your numbers, and bring them back the way you took them. Otherwise, you are in trouble. So I had a pretty normal childhood growing up. So I went to primary school in the village from grade 1 to grade 7 before going to boarding school at Gabriel Tapopi in Ongwediva from grade 8 to 10. So 8 to 12 actually. 8 to 10, I did a hybrid field of study where we both did science subjects and commerce subjects. And in grade 11 and 12, I specialized in commerce, despite my mother wanting me to do science because she wanted me to be Dr. Clistina. However, look, I can't deal with blood and needles. That is really difficult for me. Even when I gave birth, having to take those blood thinner injection on a daily basis, goodness me, I had to ask the husband to inject me because I, for the life of me, can't. Anyways, okay, so I am still scared of needles to this date. But also, I didn't really have much exposure to see what other field of studies are there in science. So I just thought, if I can't do a doctor, then I might as well do commerce and become a CA. But that was not before I was introduced to the field of study by Ernst & Young. So when I passed grade 10, I was the top student in the region at the time. And I also made top ranking in some subjects, including mathematics and accounting, which led me to be invited to participate in the EY bursary program. Mr. Hendrik Venter, who was the managing director at the time, had sent me a letter asking me if I'm interested in their bursary program. And if I am, I must respond, and I need to participate when I get to grade 12. So I sent the letter to my brother, who took it upon himself to make sure that I get into the program, and also told me that I mustn't slack because the acceptance into the program was still dependent on my grade 12 results. So fast forward in grade 12, I then participated in the program. So the first level of bursary interviews were in Tsumeb. I think that was for the schools from Tsumeb downward. And then the second level of interview was in Windhoek, where we did a panel discussion. And after that, if you advance to the next stage, we did some interactive activities. I remember at the time we had gone to Okapuka Game Park. We did some activities, and I think they were all trying to test our ability to work in team and also go out of your sort of character traits. And I made it out of that interview, pending an acceptance in a South African university. So at that time, my brother and I had accepted, or rather had applied to UCT as well as UNAM. I only did UNAM as a backup plan in case I don't get into the university in South Africa, because I was pretty excited to go abroad and or out of the country rather. And I remember in grade 12, my acceptance into UCT came pretty late in January already, and my brother had to come with me to Windhoek. We had to scramble around looking for a visa, paying for radiologies, putting me on medical aid on short notice for me to be able to be accepted. And I went to university on a bus for the first time by myself. And I'm really, really grateful for Romanus, who was organized by EY to meet me at the bus stop and orientate me around campus and make sure that I settled in. And also Naliche, sometimes when Romanus couldn't make it after classes, because by the time I went to university, Romanus was already a postgraduate student. So they had classes already at that time. And Naliche sometimes would get on the bus with me to Claremont because I wasn't in hostel until I got the hang of my route, and thereafter I was free to move around by myself. So that is how I settled into UCT at the beginning. So I actually got accepted into the 3-year program undergraduate, and then I did 3-year undergraduate, 1-year postgraduate before coming back to start my articles. So at university, life at university was very amazing for me, despite the fact that I was not in hostel the first year. That was a bit difficult because all your peers are on campus, you are not on campus, so I had to just juggle that in first year. But second year, I went in university. I met amazing friends that are like of Zizipo and Peha. They became my long life friends, and they made life so much easier at university. Academic wise, I didn't struggle a lot, except in first year I struggled a lot with math and statistics, but that's just because there was a big gap between the Namibian education system and where we were expected to be in first year at university. And I even remember that Namibian students were given an opportunity to deregister from math and statistics in first year, attend a semester holiday type of bridging course to help us bridge the gap, and then after that you could re-register in math and stats without actually wasting the money and also risking failing. But I didn't have money to stay on campus during semester break, because that means you must pay additional for hostel. So I just opted to stick it through and just put in the work. So that was really the hardest part for me in university. Other than that, yes, stats and accounting and taxation and auditing was difficult, but it wasn't as bad because I didn't repeat any module in university, and I also just made sure that I improved my grades year on year to be able to up my bursary amount. So EY gave us bursary according to your marks. So the more marks you have, the more money you got. The lower your marks, the lower the amount you got. So I made sure that year on year I'm improving so that my bursary amount can increase. So what else at university? I also made sure that I studied hard to get into rest, because if you're in rest and you are also doing well, you get a discount off your fees. So I made sure that from second year all the way to honors, I got a discount off my UCT fee for making Dean's List, as well as you also get a privilege if you're in hostel not to share a room if you are on the Dean's List. So those are some of the perks that motivated me to study hard when I was in university. So yes, the one thing that I want to mention here, when you are studying the CA route, we have 4 majors, which is accounting, tax, auditing, and management. So financial accounting, tax, auditing, and management accounting. So you need to make sure that you pass all those 4 subjects at once. Failure to pass one of those would get you to repeat all 4. So if you pass 3 and fail 1, you're going to repeat all 4 regardless of the fact that you pass the other 3. And that's the most difficult part of getting out of university, because a lot of students will get out of university with a degree but without an honors degree. And most of the time you also need to get above 60 for most university. It's not just about passing and making 50. You need to get above 60 for most of them, so you can graduate with a degree and not be eligible to be admitted in the honors program. So that is the trickiest part of getting out of university. But once you are over that hurdle, you get into the working world. How you normally this happen is that you get into an auditing firm and you sign up for a 3-year contract if you already have your honors. In first year, you write what is called initial test of competence, which is ITC. It's a board exam that you must write and pass. Then in second year, you write another board exam, and then you just finish off your 3-year training program. And in those 3 years, you accumulate what is called competencies. So you'll be given various tasks to perform, and you must be competent at performing those tasks before you can get your article signed off and before you can actually be ready to be registered as a chartered accountant. So in first and second year, you start off struggling with certain tasks. By the time you get to third year, you must be competent in all of them. Otherwise, you will get an article extension. So getting your article signed off is not really difficult because there's pretty tons of work in auditing. So in terms of whether you'll be able to meet your core hours, whether you'll be able to meet your competency, that is not really a concern. And for many firms, if there are certain tasks that they can't give you an opportunity to demonstrate in practice, they will arrange what is called a simulation. And then you will write a mock tests, which is very simple, and then you will be able to get those competencies that you can't get in practice signed off. So once all your competencies are signed off, you complete all your form to be discharged from your training contract. And once that's ready, you will then apply to be admitted into ICANN, which is the Institute of Chartered Accountants in Namibia. And once you pay your fees, ICANN will allocate a membership number, and off you are good to go to register as a CA NAM or and use it in whatever you want to do with it. So applying for a job, updating your LinkedIn profile, going overseas, etc., etc. So that is really the journey to becoming a chartered accountant. So for many people, the struggle is to get over the CTA to be able to start writing board exams. Yes, there are a few people that struggle with board exams here and there, but it's not something you can't get over it. And for a lot of people that have struggled, they will tell you if you persevere, you will eventually get through. And most of the time, you can get your article signed off, go and work in corporate, maybe as a financial accountant while you're still struggling with your board exam. And then once your board exams are done, you can then go ahead and still register as a CA NAM. There is a limited number of attempts that you can write board 1 though. So if you don't make it within those number of attempts, you go back to redoing honors, but board 2 doesn't have a limitation on the number of attempts. I don't remember on top of my head how many times you have to attempt ITC. So if you do remember, please put it in the comment section how many times that people can repeat ITC before they are forced to go do honors. So basically that is the journey up to qualification. For me, it wasn't difficult. I didn't repeat any subject in university. I didn't repeat any board exam. I didn't struggle with competency. So it was really a smooth ride for me, but it's not like this for everybody. So, just bear that in mind and make sure that if you are going onto this route, you have the zeal and determination to see it through. So fast forward, I started working off as a assistant manager after articles, and that was in the Walvis Bay office. And it was pretty tough to navigate the assistant manager role because you are juggling between just having been an article and now being in a managerial role. You must now understand how to bill client. You must follow up on outstanding fees. You must manage your team. You must deal with deadlines. So the assistant manager role is really difficult. But as soon as you get to manager, you become a little bit comfortable in your managerial role. You also grow. And I must say that I wanted to leave audit when I was an assistant manager because it was just a lot. And I was also getting a great offer from one of the clients I had audited. But the partner at the time at the coast, which was Julia Ingalls, sent me to do a transformational leadership course at Rock Lodge just to firm up my leadership skills. And she said to me, if you still don't like audit after doing the transformational leadership course, you are still free to leave. But when I came back as a changed manager. I was keen to lead. I had picked up some amazing leadership skills. I've understood my leadership style, my personal style, and that enabled me to really thrive and become a better manager. And because of that, I eventually ended up staying until a senior manager role. Okay, so key highlights on this journey is when I had to do secondment in Joburg at one of the major big banks for 3 months, 3 years in a row. So I generally would go 6 weeks in November, December, and 6 weeks in January, February. That was really an amazing experience. We had just won that client and they needed massive resources. So they pulled resources from African countries. So we had a lot of people from Nigeria, people from Zimbabwe and Namibia, and also Mauritius. So that was really a great experience for me. And also I went on our managerial program in Amsterdam. That was my first international travel by myself, and it was quite a scary experience, but I really enjoyed it. I made also some international friends there, and it's something that I really, really appreciate, and an exposure I wouldn't have gotten anywhere. So that's how my career has been thus far. I'm still soldiering on in audit, and it is going incredible well. The best part of my job thus far is actually coaching the article clerks that are coming after me, providing a conducive environment for them to tick off their competency, and just being a pillar of strength and support for them. And that is something that I really, really enjoy. Most importantly is also being a reference for the people that are leaving audit. I know it's very scary to look for a job, and also I've noticed that employers sometimes make it really dependent on the references to decide whether that candidate would get the position or not. They sometimes give lengthy forms for reference people to fill in, and sometimes give ridiculous deadlines. So I always make sure that I put in the extra effort for the trainees that are leaving to make sure that they can secure themselves decent employment after leaving articles. So that's how the journey has been thus far. So now going on to, would I advise someone to do this career? For me, I personally think that if it's something that you like, it's really a rewarding career. There is a lot of growth. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about perseverance. You learn a lot about teamwork. In audit, it's all about teaming. You can't do an audit with a bad attitude. You can't do an audit with someone you've been holding a grudge on or for. I don't know what's the correct word there. You are forced to get over those personal differences and just put them aside to get the job done, and in the process you grow and tend to understand yourself and also understand people better. For people that are keen to do international secondment and international working opportunity, there is plenty of them. My LinkedIn is flooded with, would you like to move to the Caribbean, or would you like to move to the UK? So if you like to work overseas someday, it is an international accepted qualification, and there is plenty of opportunities in audit firms out there. And I've seen a lot of people go overseas in audit firm, complete their 2 or 3 years there, and then they actually go and work in corporate London or corporate Australia or whatever the case may be. So I still think it's a very great career, and it's also financially rewarding in terms of salary scales. Whether it's an audit, out of audit, you do get decent pay, and I think it is something that is worth considering if you are keen on doing this job. So with regards to the people that are currently doing articles and people that are currently wanting to pursue CTA, all I can say is you really need to be a hard worker, especially if you are studying and working at the same time. And if you are thinking about going onto this journey and you don't have CTA or honors as yet, my advice to you is maybe consider working in corporate while trying to work on your CTA, because audit is a very stressful environment. We work a lot of overtime because deadlines need to be met, and it's not always the case in corporate. You have month end, 1 or 2 weeks, and it's busy, and the rest of the year or the rest of the month is quiet, so you can get to focus. Whereas in audit, you literally can be on deadline clients back to back. So ideally, yes, there are people that are studying and working in audit, but ideally, if you have the opportunity to study and get your CTA before you get into audit firm, that would be the great approach to actually go for. And I honestly think nowadays studying has become a little bit better compared to in my time. So in my time, it was just you are either in a formal institution or you are studying with UNISA. But now there's so many options. There's CA Connect, there is Park, there's a lot of opportunities that are out there in terms of studying part-time. And because of the fact that now online studying has been accepted as a medium form of teaching, a lot of people don't even have to go to university full-time anymore. They just opt to actually study using online platform. But this, because you are doing it at your own pace, it requires discipline and it requires determination to make sure that you're not slacking and wanting to put in all the work leading up to the exam. So that is really just my advice. You need to be determined, and you need need to make sure that you are not wasting your money. Most importantly, join a study group. There is so many trainees across multiple firms, across just corporate that are studying. If you ask around, you'll be able to locate a group of students that are studying, and you join a WhatsApp group. You guys motivate each other. You come up with a study timetable. You do mock papers together. You help each other. That way you are likely to succeed than just trying to do it solo. So really, that's all I had regarding the journey and the advice I have for people that are currently wanting to pursue this career. So in conclusion, will I still opt to do CA? Perhaps yes, but I would like to maybe think of it that it is not really the qualification that is the end goal. What you can do with the qualification is what I think is of great importance. Or you don't have to be a CA in audit, or you don't have to be a financial manager. There are so many operational roles that you can still venture in that are really great fit for CAs. Plus you can start your own business. The knowledge you learn from articles and auditing different industries, I think, is some valuable knowledge you would not get anywhere else. It gives you business insight in how to run a business. It gives you practical experience on how to turn around a business if it's struggling. And I think for me, that's the part that I enjoy most, and it is something that I think is giving me long life skills that I will take into my future adventure. So until then, I'll still be in audit and see how it goes. So really, this is all I wanted to share. Do send it to a friend that is currently studying for motivation. Do send it to your child if you think your child would like to be a CA, or if you think your child will be good at being in this field. And let's grow this profession. And remember, integrity is doing the right thing when no one else is watching. Bye-bye.